Hello everyone, welcome to the new session of Pulses Part 1. So in this session we are going to study about introduction to pulses and what are the composition of pulses. Okay. So pulses are the edible fruit or seeds of the pod bearing the plant belonging to the family Leguminaceae. So basically it is belong to the family Leguminaceae, and the fruit or seeds of this particular that is the edible part of the plant of the pulses, right? So they are used, and actually they are the pod bearing plant. So Leguminaceae, they are the pod bearing plant. Pod means there is a pod in which the seeds are there. So that particular seed, these seeds are used as pulses, right? So Leguminaceae are widely spread throughout the world. So they are present all over the world. They have a high protein content ranging from 20 to 40%, and this makes them important in the human food for the point of view of nutrition. So from the nutritional point of view, all this protein, basically the protein we get, that is around 20 to 40% from this pulses, right? So they are highly protein content food. An alternate name for the pulses is legumes. So they are also called as legumes, which is common in many parts of the world. In India, the term gram is commonly used for the dry legume seed with husk. So they are covering, that is called as husk, while split decorticated grains are called dal. And when they get splitted, so earlier they are in this covered form, and when it gets splitted, they are in this form. So actually they are called as dal at that particular time. While split decorticated grains are called as dal. The chemical composition of the edible pulses seeds depend upon the species to species. So what species we are taking? So according to that, the chemical composition of the edible pulses can be decided. So the protein content of the pulses is high and is commonly more than twice than that of the cereal grain. Very important. The cereal grain also contain they also contain the protein, but the content of the pulses is high. It is twice than that of this present in the cereal grain. So they are also rich in carbohydrate, and some species like groundnut and soya bean are rich in oil. So beside the protein and carbohydrate, the seeds of the groundnut and soya bean, they are rich in oil also. So the pulses also contain other important nutrients like vitamins and mineral, etc. They are also rich in carbohydrates, and some species like groundnut and soya bean are rich in oil. So the pulses that some contain other important nutrients like vitamins and minerals. In addition to the nutritional factors, pulses contain several heat stable and heat liable anti-nutritional or toxic factor. So in addition to the nutritional factor, there are some heat stable or heat liable anti-nutrition. They are not required for the nutrition, but yes, they are helpful for heat stable, right? So these include enzyme inhibitors, toxic substances factors, inciting clinical disorders, and the factors which interfere with the digestion, and fluctuants causing substances. So there are so many substances like enzyme inhibitors, toxic substance factor. There are so many toxic substances, so that can be stabilized by the presence of the toxic substances factors, and inciting clinical disorders. So that causes inciting clinical disorders that also present. Factors which interfere with the digestion. So there are many factors that interfere with the digestion that are also present, and the flatulence causing substance. So these are the substances that are present. So these factors are to be reduced or eliminated to make pulses seed more acceptable as a source of inexpensive nutritional proteins and maximize their utilization as a human food. So very important. So along with so many useful composition like carbohydrate and protein, there are some substances that are also, that's factors that are also present, that should be reduced or eliminated to make the pulse seed more acceptable. Okay, and that is a source of inexpensive nutritional proteins and maximize their utilization as human food. Pulses protein. So the pulse protein are chiefly globulins, but albumins are also present in few species. So basically, globulins is the basic protein that are present in the pulses along with some albumins. Pulse proteins are deficient in sulfur-containing amino acid, particularly the methionine and the tryptophan. So these, as you know, these are the two sulfur-containing amino acid, that is the methionine and tryptophan. So the pulses protein, right? So they are deficient in this sulfur-containing protein, right? Sulfur-containing amino acid protein. All pulses contain sufficient amount of leucine and phenylalanine. So these two types of amino acids are present in basically all the types of proteins. A majority of the pulse protein have high molecular weights and are very compact molecules. So generally they are having high molecular weight and compact molecules, and this reduces the digestibility of the native protein, right? So this is very, very important point. So majority of the pulse protein are having high molecular weight and very compact molecule, and so this reduces the digestibility of the native protein. So due to the high molecular weight and the compactness of the molecule, right, they are not easy for the digestion. So the protein content of the pulses are 20 to 40%. Food pulse contain about 55 to 60% of the total carbohydrates, including starch, soluble sugars, fibers, and unavailable carbohydrates. So food pulse that contain this much amount, that is 55 to 60% of the total carbohydrates. And it includes the starch, soluble sugar, fiber. So all these carbohydrates are also present along with the protein. The unavailable sugar in pulse include the substantial level of oligosaccharide of the raffinose family of the sugar, that is raffinose, stachyose, and the verbicose. So these are the sugar of the raffinose family, right? That is the raffinose, stachyose, and verbicose. So these are the different oligosaccharides that are basically present in the pulses. So which are notoriously known for the flatulence production in man and animal. So they are present in man and animals. These sugar escape digestion. So these sugars are not able to digest when they are ingested due to the lack of a galactosidase activity in the mammalian mucosa. So we are not having the galactosidase activity. So these sugars are not digestible. Lipids. Lipids form about 1 to 5% of the dry matter in the pulses, except in groundnut, soybean, and winged beans. So they are having high oil content, groundnut, soybean, and winged beans. But other pulses, they contain 1 to 5% of the dry matter, right? Most of the pulse lipid contain high amounts of polyunsaturated acid, right? So most of the pulse lipid, they are having high polyunsaturated fatty acids. These undergo oxidative rancidity during the storage, resulting in the number of undesirable changes such as loss of protein solubility, of flavors development, and the loss of nutritive quality. So there is a oxidative rancidity because of this polyunsaturated fatty acid. They get easily rancid, means they get oxidized, and during the storage resulting in the number of undesirable change. right? Such as loss of protein solubility, the protein become insoluble, and of flavors development, the flavor is not so good, and the loss of nutritive quality, and the nutritive quality also get degraded. Minerals. The pulses are important source of calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, potassium, and phosphorus. So these are the important sources of the calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, potassium, and phosphorus. So all the pulses contain these minerals. A major portion, that is 80% of phosphorus in many pulses, is present in the phytate phosphorus. So 80% of the phosphorus that is in the form of phytate phosphorus in the pulses. Processing methods such as cooking, soaking, germination, etc. can reduce or eliminate the appreciable amount of phytin. So soaking, cooking, and germination reduces the phytin content of the pulse. Vitamins. Pulses contain small amount of carotene 1, that is provitamin 1. This is very important. So they are having very small quantity of this. Okay. And the many pulses containing 50 to 300 international unit of vitamins A per 100 gram. So this is very, very important. The thiamine content of the pulses is approximately equal to the 1 or exceeds that of whole cereal. The average of the vitamin is 0.4 to 0.5 mg per 100 gram of pulses. So this is the average quantity of the vitamin that is present in 100 gram of pulses. So pulses are also fairly rich in niacin, that is around 2 mg per 100 gram. They are poor in riboflavin. Dry legumes are almost devoid of ascorbic acid. So no vitamin C is present in the dry legumes. Processing of pulses. So processing of pulses is of the primary importance in improving the nutritive value. So if we want to improve the nutritive value, we have to process the pulses. The processing method are soaking, germination, decortication, cooking, and fermentation. So while doing all these things, we are improving the nutritive value of the pulses. Soaking. Soaking in water is the first step in the most method of the preparation of pulses. So before preparing any type of pulses, we soak it in water, right? And as indicated above, the soaking reduces the oligosaccharides of the raffinose family. So it also reduces this oligosaccharide, and basically it does not get digested even in the mammals. So soaking also reduces the amount of phytic acid in the pulses. Germination. Germination improves the nutritive quality of the food pulse. So this is very, very important. Germination basically improves the nutritive quality of the food pulses. The ascorbic acid content of the pulse increases many folds after 48 hours of germination. So we know that ascorbic content, that is vitamin C, that increases after 48 hours of the germination. The riboflavin, niacin, choline, and biotin content of all the pulses increases during the germination. Germination also brings about the change in the carbohydrates of the pulses, some of the starch being converted into sugar. So germination also helps in change in the carbohydrates of the pulses. Okay, so the starch that is present is converted into sugar. The germination in process reduces the most of the anti-nutritional and the toxic factors in the several pulses. So all these toxic factors that are present, that also get reduced after the germination. Decortication. Dry pulses have a fibrous seed coat, that is husk or skin, which often is indigestible, and many have a bitter taste. So they are not good in taste, right? They are having the bitter taste. So if we remove, then only that is good for eating. So in such cases, the skin have to be removed. The germ is usually removed during the dehusking, and this may result in some of the loss of thiamine. Husked and the split pulses are commonly used in India as dal. So basically, husked and the split pulses, we used it in India. Dals may not be nutritionally as good as a whole seed. If we use as a whole seed, then it is basically a good. But we are using the removed one. The husk get removed. But their keeping qualities, cooking time and digestibility will be better. A number of methods are available for the decortication. A simple method is to soak the seed for the short time in water. The husk takes up more water than the seed and may be easily separated by rubbing with the still moist. So we soak the seed for lesser duration of time, okay, and in that particular time the husk gets swelled up and by rubbing it get easily removed. In alternative method, the soaked grains may be dried and the husk removed by pounding or winnowing. So, soaked grain, first of all, the grain is soaked and then it is again dried, and by winnowing process that get removed. Roasting also renders the husk easier to separate. Roasted legumes like those of Bengal gram and the peas are widely used in India. Cooking. Cooking destroyed the enzyme inhibitors and thus improved the nutritional quality of the food pulses. So there are so many enzyme inhibitors that are present in the pulses, but when we cook that food, pulses, that enzyme get degraded, right? And that improves the nutritional quality of the pulses. Cooking also improves the palatability. However, pulses should not be overcooked as this reduces the quality of the proteins. So that should not be overcooked. Longer cooking causes a drop in the nutritional value of the pulses. As a result, it is a loss of lysine. So this lysine is very, very important amino acid. If we overcook the pulses, then this lysine amino acid can be lost. Prolonged heating also results in the loss of vitamins and the consequent loss of nutritional value. So this is all about this session. We will have one more session to know different types of pulses present or found in India. Thank you very much.